Hello, good morning. Thank you for joining me. So, I have some really powerful insight that I came across not only last night where it all came together, but it's been progressing for me in my own journey. So, the last decade of my life has been extremely challenging. And the reason it was extremely challenging for me was because I put myself in a mindset where I was tired of business, I was tired of responsibility, I was tired of the idea of being the person that others had to go to for their needs. And I got overwhelmed and I had decided that it was something I didn't want. So for 10 years, I fought against that. And I got into positions where I was more of a support system and I wasn't exactly the responsible person, but I still had a lot of responsibility that I brought upon myself. And so obviously I was learning and growing and challenging myself and adapting to life in this new chapter because 10 years ago I had an awakening. I am now on my third awakening. So it's a level up and it happens and we change and we develop and we grow. And so often I share my story and people will cry and I get all uncomfortable and it's like, no, don't cry. I didn't share this with you because I wanted that reaction or response. However, it's how people perceive it because of their own truth. As far as, oh my gosh, what would I do? How would I feel? And usually I wouldn't want any of that, right? And so for me, it was my journey, something that I have now come to realize my purpose. And I had to get this lesson out of the way, and it's the people pleaser. I didn't want to be the person people relied on, but I never allowed anyone I cared about to struggle, to not have my unconditional love and support. And so as these, 10 years went by, I got into very sticky situations where I was a codependent. And I would be in these, ongoing cycles of, oh my God, I'm being taken advantage of, I'm not appreciated, why does this keep happening to me? And it just kept reoccurring and I couldn't figure out my participation in it because I'm big on accountability and my own participation in the relationships that I am in. I'm the common denominator in my world and I am participating in these situations for a reason. So, fast forward to now, I have been in situation after situation where spirit is checking to see if I learned, to see if I get it or not. Not just, oh, it makes sense to you in your mind, but let's see how you handle it. Let's see how you move forward. Let's see if your vibration has changed from these relationships. So, tower moment, as oh my gosh, as we all freak out and we don't want that, and oh my gosh, what do you mean my whole life's gonna fall apart? So that was my recent situation. It's gone on for months. It wasn't like a one situation type ordeal. It was my business, it was my home, it was my marriage, it was my relationship with my son, it was my finances, my mentality of being, strong and independent, and then learning to be in a partnership, and then recognizing that even though I wasn't completely, independent, I was still always okay. So you do these things with yourself, you play these games with yourself to grow, right? And so I recently have had so many things that required assistance, help, so many things that I believed I didn't even have the ability to do. So the first thing that came up for me was, oh my gosh, you have to learn to ask for help. You gotta be better about it. You can't just think you can do everything on your own. So that was, the first challenge. Like, can you ask for help? Can you accept help? And then obviously things occurred where I had assistance. And right away, what Spirit kept coming up to me is, it's like a credit card. There's interest, there's reimbursement, this is an exchange. And when that was happening, every time I would feel it and say, you know what, I appreciate the offer, but I'm gonna go ahead and try. I'm gonna try to do this on my own. I'm gonna try to see how it goes. Obviously, this prolonged the progress. Obviously, I was focused on what I was doing at the time and giving my all, and I was realizing one situation at a time, one setback at a time, one hardship at a time, that I always had the ability to repair it. Just like if someone came to me and said, hey, can you help me with this? Especially someone I love and care about. Oh, yeah, I'll figure it out. I have no idea how to do it, but I will figure this out. And I started doing that to myself. And then the next lesson Spirit brought in for me was, you have to learn to say no to others, and you need to learn to be alone unconditionally. And this doesn't mean you're alone, you're not loved, you're not supported. What this means is that you are consolidating, what's important, you're handling it, and then you're coming up for air, and then you're available to have, dinner or enjoyment, whatever, but you're prioritizing yourself. And so time and time again, I would have these offers of, hey, let's do this, or hey, let me help with that, or hey, and it just kept falling through. Like, no, this isn't what you should be spending your time on. No, this is actually something you can do on your own. So this person is going to fall through. They're not going to be there when they say they are. Things are going to be changed. And it was just like, I was so focused and zeroed in on my game plan, the bigger picture, that I had to continuously assess the situation. Like, is this where all my energy should be? Is this where my time should be? Do I really want to be around, these specific people? Do I really want to entertain a specific situation or invitation? And the majority of it was not right now, not right now. This needs your time and attention, and if it's you alone, that's okay, that's life. And so time and time again, okay, you're not that person anymore. You're not just gonna say yes and agree to everything and jump in, because it started to feel off. Like, all the relationships, everything I was used to doing was just not feeling good to me. I wasn't vibing with that old energy. And I would just take these deep breaths, and I'm doing yoga daily, I'm clearing, I'm blessing, I'm protecting, I'm surrounded in my space by all these healing elements that continuously clear and strengthen and balance my own energy. I'm doing sound baths, I'm pulling cards on situations, and that helps reset me over and over to get that clarity to proceed, because I'm a different person. I'm not the same person. I'm not doing what comes natural anymore. I've elevated, and I'm not selfish. I know that. The bigger goal that I'm working on, the whole purpose of this new establishment, is to help others heal, grow, and develop in whatever means necessary. But I recognize that it starts with me, I put myself into a hermit mode, and I decided that I was working, oh, I'm painting, oh, I'm doing labor shit, I can't really think about happiness or fun or, distraction. And that's okay, that's okay to do what you think is necessary, that someone isn't saying thank you for asking of you, or, giving you that validation. Not that I've ever needed validation, but that became an exchange. That became an exchange of power. I would give my abilities and power to others, that would make me feel strong because I had the ability. That was where I went wrong in the, participation. But I could have said no. I had the ability to say no at any moment in time. I could have said, this doesn't work for me. But yet I was the go-to. I was the one that, I knew was reliable. And so I would have to see it through. Years would go by and I would be like, how the hell did I get put into this? And it was just because I had to be reliable. I had to be available. I had to be the go-to. And, the more you spread that out with the people around you, it just takes pieces of you, slowly but surely, to where you're waiting to be needed before you can act. And if you're not, you fall into this depression, like, what's my worth? What's my value? And now I'm giving that energy, those skills, those tools, those resources to myself. And I'm looking back, after every week, I'd say I take inventory of my progress. And it's like, wow, this is all about me, for my destiny. That is connected to all these people. That is going to heal, strengthen, develop all these people. And then it's like I give myself that, okay, that green light to continue this next 10 years of my life. And so right now, everything I do is about the next 10 years of my life. If it doesn't belong in the next decade, it doesn't work for me. And the people around me are, oh my God, amazing. They're people that come to me with like in-depth discussion from like the beginning. Nothing superficial, nothing diluted at all. None of it is diluted. Oh my gosh, I just got a buzz in my ear. It's almost like we all had to hear that. This is real. This is real interaction, engagement. And a lot of that old toxicity had to fall away to make room for this. So it's like your cup is full of all these people, all these habits, all these lessons, this environment. You got to dump some out to make room for the new. And you got to let it go, not as something better comes along. Oh, I think I'll pick this to let go. It doesn't work that way. It has to be out of there in advance so that there's place for the good. So tower moment, everything fell apart, and I was guided by Spirit. Spirit said, you're fine. You always have been. You got this. Just do as you're told. Be faithful, be obedient. So every day that's gone by, it's like I'm guided a little bit more with what I have to do in that moment. And I'm not on the timeline that I would like to be. The Virgo in me is like freaking out, but I'm fighting against that. And it's more about the bigger picture and just doing what I can, when I can, how I can. And I feel good about it. I don't let myself get overwhelmed. I take things day by day, and I let myself know that this too shall pass. All of it, the good, the bad, the ugly. So it's not always good. It's not always bad. It's not always ugly. It comes in waves, but you gotta just flow and just let it take you where you're supposed to go without trying to have that control. Because when I do try to have control, I get steered back in the same cycle that I've always been on. And the control part just comes from the organization, the planning, the fear. And now that I'm not living in fear, I'm living through my purpose, I get these highs, man, that come through me where I'm just, these synchronicities, just like these, you're where you're supposed to be, these people, these numbers, these symbols, all these different things that daily, when I'm paying attention, when I'm not freaking out, when I'm, not just waiting for someone to give me direction, it's like in me, through me, I'm a vessel of this information. And so it's exciting stuff, man. So I just wanted to share that insight with you all, because I know a lot of you are experiencing similar things during this transition. It feels scary because everything we've worked for and known and loved and, thought was our end all has collapsed. And then it's like, now what? Don't ask people. Pray, fast. I fasted for 3 days when I got my insight. And I got all this information. And of course, the bigger picture was like, I'm not even capable of that. but I was obedient. I just saw it through. Every day I'd get, a little bit more insight on where I had to go, and I would do it, and then it would fall into place, and then it's like, do this, now do that. And so that's where it's all, come into this place where all this information, all these lessons, these situations in this direction, it all kind of makes sense. So I hope that's helpful. Give me more ideas on what you would like to see, because people do that privately, and oh my gosh, I really appreciate it, because it helps me understand where things are landing, and it allows me to give more of that content. I do my own intuitive guidance where Spirit is just like, you got to do a video on this. And sometimes it's for one person and sometimes it's for a whole group. But I'm just being very, very open as a vessel to the insight and information that's passing through me. So have a wonderful day and enjoy this beautiful weather.